All right, so we continue to monitor the retrieval operations in Stilfontein in the northwest, where retrieval operations are currently underway to rescue hundreds of trapped illegal miners. SABC News reporter Sentleeng Lehihi joins us now live from Stilfontein to give us the latest update. Sentleeng, a very good morning to you. Thanks indeed for your time. So what's the latest coming out from there? It's been hours and hours and hours.
Good morning to you too, Griselda, and our viewers. Indeed, rescue operations will continue in earnest today here at Shaft 11 in Stilfontein. You'll recall that this is the very site where we've seen a number of illegal mine workers re-emerge. And unfortunately, we also saw the decomposed body of a suspected mine worker also re-emerge from this shaft over here. We saw quite a number of engagements yesterday with the visit of the Minister of Police, Sentleeng Lehihi, who had those engagements with community members and a site visit to this shaft to really have a first-hand account of the challenges that are being experienced here and the complaints that residents are raising, particularly concerned relatives, that the Voluntary operation, as much as it has been, lauded for its achievements in seeing quite a number, over thousands of illegal mine workers emerge, but the humanitarian impact there has really been quite extensively painful for many of those who seemingly remain stranded underground and unable to actually leverage themselves up and need quite extensive assistance through a roping system, or mechanism that utilizes quite a number of other people on the surface to ensure that those who do have the strength to come up are actually roped up. But concerns still remain, the need for food for many of those who remain underground. We saw the commitment coming there from national government and the provincial government to engage mine rescue operations, for them to come to this site to fully evaluate this shaft, a shaft that goes up until like almost 2 kilometers deep, and it's quite an old shaft. So there are many other considerations that will have to be done to evaluate the possibility of starting the rescue mission here as soon as possible with the skilled mine rescue personnel. But to get a clear understanding of how far and how long the community volunteer rescue operations will continue and the plight that those underground are still experiencing, we're going to be speaking to one of the community leaders here. Dr. Botman, you have been on site since the very beginning. You have seen and tried to lobby some community members to join in this volunteer efforts to get those who remain stranded underground. How are things going, sir?
Thank you very much for having us. I must say, firstly, the visit of the minister yesterday, we had hoped for, quicker solutions. The minister came, he had a meeting and engagements with us stakeholders. Everyone was there, but still we felt it was, just a meeting. However, the minister sensitized everyone who's involved to come together with solutions, and that's what we really appreciated. We still appreciate the response of the government. But that does not defeat the fact that there are people underground whom are not in a good condition. Remember, our objective is to make sure that we save people. Yes, the rescue team was consulted because they also committed that they'll come with a case study and make sure they do the assessment, and those are days, Now our worry is that, or concern is that, in the meantime that happens, what happens? Hence, you see us came on site today to continue at least to save a life, or 2 or 3 or 4 in a day. It's something in this dangerous system that has been applied of a rope. So we are here to say we are allowing the government space to do that. In the meantime, let's do this temporary one as we've been doing. Number 2, we are requesting that somebody must make a decision, because there are people that are dehydrated, they don't have food, they need medication underground. So if the objective of the government, again, is to save people, like we say, it shouldn't be stalled as the preparations are done. we must at least have, a system in place to say government will monitor the food that is going there, or the light meals that can keep people going. Otherwise, the measures that they are taking are going to work, but we are going to resurface deceased.
And those who have emerged from underground paint that very bleak picture. Yes. Decomposed bodies, people are really, really in desperate need for nourishment. What else have they told you about what they've noticed and witnessed for themselves underground?
Obviously, the situation, the one that are out now, they are saying that the situation is not nice. And remember, we can't have an opinion without listening to the people who have been there. They said that they are sleeping next to the deceased. People are sick. Those who were not taking medication for more than 3 months. Obviously, they relapsed. And it's not nice. People don't have hope. They are scared, and they are ready. They are prepared to be resurfaced and face the law.
What of those who are saying that perhaps the community has been a bit complacent in this level of illegality and is a bit mistaken for now crying for assistance for people who are in essence criminal elements and really destroying our community?
You see what we miss in all that. The community is not against the law. We are still encouraging that the law must take its course. Criminality is criminality. However, in this case, as much as it's criminality, all these efforts are taken are going to waste if the people that are going to be assisted and resurfaced, then the government has no any other charge that they can do. It goes back to a question of saying, when you say criminality on this operation, what are you saying? Of which it takes us back, like the minister said, to DMRE, to say, obviously, the first owner of the rights did the wrong thing, and the government kept quiet. So what we are saying, as much as we don't promote criminality from the communities, let's not allow government to practice criminality on leaving people to die underground.
Worst of all, negligence by the mines operating here. You've been at the forefront of calling for rehabilitation and community benefit in this area. What do you make of the multitude of abandoned mine sites that have really done little to develop this area, but have sunken it into even deeper squalor?
Listen, one of the problems that we have in our township is that we cannot develop our township because it's dolomatic. So therefore, they cannot build any houses. And it is of a result of mining here. So it also goes back to show that our government let all those things happen without holding the mine companies accountable, without practicing what they regulated. Because MPRDA stated clearly that if you are mining in an area, number one, you must have a beneficiation for that hosting township. That's number one. But number two, after mining, you have a responsibility to rehabilitate that mine and leave the conditions as you found them. So our government slept on that. Now later on, that's why the minister could say when they were giving each other the permits, police were not there. And that was a point, that he made. We're not there. And if you can go back and check, maybe the community consultations before giving the right were not even practiced. It was one-on-one thing. Now it is difficult for us as we're coming back to make sure that we trying to correct what happened. And I'm sure government also has a capacity to recall all those mining companies and put them up to task.
Absolutely. Now back to today's activities. We are not privy to witness for ourselves the work that the volunteers are doing. Paint a picture for our viewers. After signing your indemnity forms, we see them now. They're going to site. What are they going to do when they get there?
It's the same thing that they've been doing. They are going to do the rope style, trying to communicate with the people underground that please give us someone can be assisted to resurface. That's what we are going to do. And it's a quite slow, way of assisting. And the way we've designed things, they make this operation to be slow. For an example, you can see the signing of indemnity. It's going to take long. Yesterday I heard the leader saying you can't do 5 a day, but they miss the point of we are going to do this. It will take long. They are going to prepare for operating, and then after getting 1%, we step back. Police are doing their job. We must wait for the police. So we must wait for medic to do that before we resume again. So those in between things, they make the process to be more slower.
Thank you so much for your time, Mr. Botman. A tedious exercise described there by community leader Thembile Botman. They've been posted at this area for the better part of the past 2 weeks. They've experienced for themselves word coming from those underground, the sheer trauma of having to sleep with corpses while you yourself are really battling extensive malnutrition. They're saying that their efforts are done with full commitment, but the bureaucracy in terms of having to have the indemnity form signed and ensure that once one person is resurfaced, they're treated and processed by police makes it quite tedious and long and significantly seemingly limited in its successes. But we'll continue keeping an eye here, and hopefully we may witness one or a couple more resurfacing from here at Shaft 11, Stilfontein.
Sentleeng, just before we let you go, I see those indemnity forms are being signed right there behind you. If we could ask our colleague to just show us that and a bit more activity of what is happening, I would say towards your left-hand side. Just show us what's taking place there. I see there are some indemnity forms that are being signed. How many people have gathered there? Have we seen the numbers dwindle in terms of those who are concerned about those who are still underground? Or what is the situation there? If we could ask our camera colleague to just show us what is happening there behind you. I did manage to get a glimpse of those indemnity forms being signed, if indeed that is the case.
Absolutely. I'm just going to step out of frame so my colleague Jabulani wa Afrika will show you the signing of the indemnity forms. You see just quite a handful of the volunteers have come in. This indemnity form is for them to actually, state that they will not take any claims should anything happen to themselves, their safety, considering that, this area is quite precarious and significantly dangerous. You heard Thembile there describing the dolomitic state of the topography here, meaning that with recent rains and ongoing mining activities here, the land here is quite unstable. You'll understand that with our engagements with family members who have heard no word from those of their relatives who have gone underground, the situation is extremely dire. They really have sleepless nights, not knowing, not having any certainty what has happened to their family members. And what makes it more precarious is that there is not often, proper communication that allows them to keep track of, their relatives' conditions, even before the intensification of Alumgodi. One relative described to us a situation where her brother would actually go underground for about 6-month intervals at a time, and the only communication they'd get from him was on the day he'd go underground and on the day he'd re-emerge. And they realized, that 6 months had gone by, the Operation Voluntary is intensifying, people are resurfacing, but there's no word, no sight of their brother. And they're significantly concerned because, they understand that this issue illegal mining is really, really crippling the economy. But it seems that this is the mainstay of this community that is plagued by major high unemployment and lack of development, since the fall of the mining area or the mining sector in this area, which used to actually be responsible for many of the jobs in this area, has really seen a fall. So many of the communities here say, they understand, they know that this is criminal, but this is the only way that many of the youth here know how to survive. And they believe that it is really, really necessary for all of them to come together and see what assistance can be given. But more so, they need for food and nourishment to be given to those underground, as the rescue efforts that are being conducted currently are taking too long and very tedious. And we expect that those rescue efforts that will be initiated by government will actually take some time to begin, as evaluation of the site is still to happen.
Sentleeng, is there any chance that we could perhaps speak to one of those volunteers about their concerns about embarking on this a mission at all? I think some of them are behind you. I'm not sure if any of them would want to be on camera. Any chance that we could get that?
I think it's absolutely worth the chance taking.
Yes.
I'm going to request my colleague Jabulani Africa to do a little bit of a maneuver, remove himself off the sticks, and we're going to take a walk, briskly so, as best stable as we can, to see if indeed we can get word from any of these volunteers, you know. Just yesterday, we managed to speak to one of them, so I don't see that there'd be a problem. Let me get closer and see if one of them will speak to us. Ntate, leka ntate waka. Alusiame. Montate waka. Re kopa go buisana le lona. Ka maitemogelo a lona jaaka le theogetse mo tirong ya lona, le se le se itemogetseng. Ntate, kopo ntlhalosetsa maina a gago, ke eng se se go rotloeditseng go rotlo go thusa ga gompieno, o itemogetseng tota?
Ke khotso kone ba tlile mona ka lebaka la bana ba borona ba ka mo tlaso mokoti, so re kopile re tlo sebetsa mo re bantshe go fitlela no ntse re tla magae ha re so bono gena ba tswella jwa santse re ya magetsa ba
tota tiro ya lona ya go leka go ba falola hale e boketenyana ke a itse re o itlhaganetseng tatwaka mme tota thuso e le e tlhokang segolo bogolo. Now, unfortunately, we're disturbing the program there. He's explaining to us that he was actually driven to come here by the call by the community to ensure that those who are left underground are assisted. He says that, you know, it's quite a tedious exercise. He couldn't actually expand further with us because they're organizing themselves and have to actually go in with a police escort, properly numbered, and ensuring that they do these things cordially and according to protocol. But we'll keep attempting to have engagements with even more of them as they arrive. This is the first batch, mind you, and we expect that some of the family members of those who are suspected to still be underground will also be making their way out here. Some of them organize themselves some 500 meters from site. They organize food, refreshments for the workers to ensure that they do not lose, you know, that will to continue the job under such precarious circumstances.